Let me thank you, Mr. Jeffries, for yielding this time, and thank you for your leadership here in the House of Representatives. Since you have arrived here in the House, you have just done extraordinary work. You have taken the time to come to this floor and to educate and inform the masses of our people about the great important issues facing our nation. And so I want to thank you for all of your work. I thank also Mr. Horsford, the other gentleman who has taken the time to convene this special hour of presentations. I want to thank you for all the work that you do. You are both freshmen, but you have the personality and the ability of someone who has been in this body for many years, and so thank you very much. But the Congressional Black Caucus this evening has chosen to talk about the important subject of education. I am a supporter, a strong supporter, proponent of strong public education. Mr. Speaker, there's no investment that we can make as a country more important than investing in children and investing in their education and their higher education. Regrettably, there are some people in this body who think otherwise. They may say that they don't think otherwise, but their actions demonstrate every day that they do not have a strong commitment to supporting our educational system in this country. There are even some members of this chamber who regrettably have said from time to time that they want to defund and eliminate the U.S. Department of Education. They feel that the educational responsibility of government belongs to the states and not to the federal government. That is so unfortunate. But I want to encourage all of us who serve in this body to work together and stay together to try to promote public education in every way that we can. Now, Mr. Jeffries, I cannot speak about the state of New York with any authority or the borough of Brooklyn. I know you do that very well. You've been there for many years. But I can speak to my home state of North Carolina. We have a demonstrated record of commitment and excellence in public education, both at the elementary and high school levels as well as the college level as well. We started way back in 1868 when our Constitution was enacted. In the state Constitution, we made sure that there was a provision that guaranteed a public education for every child in our state. Ensuring that our students have access to quality education has long been a principle of my state and those that I associate with. And so I have firsthand knowledge of our educational system. I know about the dedicated educators that we have in North Carolina, and I want to just encourage them and to thank them for their service and to urge them to keep on doing what they're doing. Mr. Speaker, I came from a family of educators. My mother was a classroom teacher. She taught school for 48 long years. Many people want to know how a single person could be in the classroom for that long, but my response is that during those days you did not need a college degree in order to be a classroom teacher, only the passion and commitment and a high school diploma. And so I understand the importance of education, but even the most devoted and capable educators must have the resources to provide our children with quality education. We now face a defining moment for future generations of Americans where some Republicans want to fix this budget by cutting funding for our students in schools. At the same time, we continue to be outpaced by other countries that continue to increase in educational investments. In this country, the world's most prosperous nation, 25% of our children do not graduate from high school. More than 90 million adults have inadequate literacy skills. The numbers are even more startling for low-income children and African-American children, many of whom live in my district. Less than 8% of students in advanced placement math or science courses are African-American. African-American students graduate from high school on time, and that must change. Despite these statistics, data that shows that investment in educational programs like Title I and IDEA and Race to the Top and Head Start and TRIO are instrumental to preparing our students to compete globally. But draconian cuts through sequestration have rolled back discretionary education department funding below the 2004 level and gutted many of those programs. My state will lose $25 million in funding for primary and secondary education this year. 38,000 fewer students will be served in my state, and 350 education jobs will be endangered. The Ronald McNair Trio program for doctoral students from disadvantaged backgrounds that was cut at Elizabeth City State University and is just one example. Many state legislatures, including my state, are cutting state education budgets at the same time. We must find ways to address our fiscal challenges without placing the burden on our children and our teachers. While our goal must be to ultimately reauthorize ESEA and the Higher Education Act, there are many ways, Mr. Speaker, we can help right now. We must preserve the maximum Pell Grant and keep interest rates on student loans low to enable low-income students to attend college. We must sustain funding for Race to the Top grants. In North Carolina, those grants have developed stronger curriculum in math and science, and they're working. They have strengthened teacher training and improved early childhood education. Finally, Mr. Speaker, and I will close, we must also protect other STEM funding streams. That's STEM funding streams through funding for NSF and NIH that support innovative research in my district, like at Duke University and East Carolina University and Elizabeth City State University and my alma mater of North Carolina Central University. We must also support bills like H.R. 595, the Veterans Education Equity Act, which I introduced to resolve an inequity in existing law which unintentionally allows more education funds to veterans who are enrolled in private colleges than those in public institutions. The bottom line is, Mr. Speaker, education must be a priority. We must seize every opportunity to increase support for public education and not decrease it. Public education should be off limits to budget cuts.